Okay, so for anyone who isn't familiar with how things work in the military, this is going to be very helpful video for you and maybe for even people who have served or who are currently serving but maybe don't know the full extent of how everything works. This could be helpful for you as well. So, this is why we're going to draw on here so I can illustrate exactly why it is so incredibly dangerous to sow seeds of doubt in service members' minds when it comes to following orders. So, what we're going to do here is just draw a really crude little base, and we're going to draw a little road right here going up to the base. Here is our base. And then on the way along this road, we have little barriers, right? To control the flow. We don't want vehicles to be able to just come straight up onto this compound because what can happen? If a vehicle has a straight shot in, we're now vulnerable to a vehicle-borne IED. They can rush us through, and then up here at the gate, we have service members that are stationed right here. They're positioned right here to do nothing but control this access point, right? So, if a vehicle's rushing, they're going to have guns up here, very large, nice 50 cals to help defend the base. They're going to have other weapons as well, but you're going to be shooting the engine block to try to disable that vehicle. So, if we have a slower travel for that vehicle, it gives them more time to engage the vehicle down around out here, right? So that way it doesn't just blow up and blow this gate and kill everyone that's stationed there that's on post, right? So here's a scenario that I'm going to paint for you. And there's a whole lot of different scenarios that would do the same thing, but I'm just giving you this one example, and you can use your own brain power to brainstorm other ways that this could happen, that this could be relevant, what I'm saying, okay? I'm not going to sit here and insult your intelligence. So, we have a female, okay, that's walking. She's walking up, walking up. Gate guards up here, they're watching. They see this individual traveling up by foot, right? She's walking closer and closer. She gets right here. The guard is told, the most junior on this post is told to engage this female. He's not told why. He's just told, engage this female. This service member here goes, hey, I'm not going to do that. This is an innocent woman. She's not doing anything. She doesn't have anything. I don't see anything. There's no reason for me to engage this woman. She's up here and she's getting closer. She keeps coming. He's not. He's defying orders. So now they're telling her to turn back, right? Trying to get her to stop. He doesn't know why, but They want him to engage her. She's now right up near the gate. Fantastic. Now, let's go ahead and tell you what he doesn't know and why he was told to engage her. On the base, there is a thing called a COC. That is a Combat Operations Center. Okay. So this here is the Operations Center. Right here. What they have that he doesn't have is actually quite a lot of things. They have higher clearances than what he has. Certain individuals in the COC have a higher clearance than he will have. And they have assets that he does not have. So, what kind of assets do they have access to? Well, they have access to airplanes, right? Uh that have the video that you're used to seeing. So the airplane is looking down. It's seeing everything down here. It has a nice view that this guy doesn't have, but everyone in here has. What else do they have? Well, it may be on this aircraft. It may not be on this aircraft. But they may also have access to um, signals. So we're just gonna do like a kind of like a Wi-Fi router, right? They have access to signals, so they can intercept, shortwave radio, cell phones, whatever. They're able to intercept this traffic, right? It gets relayed back over. All this gets relayed back over to the COC. So they also have different types of assets on the ground. They may have access to, let's say there's a patrol that's out here, and this is the good guy, and he is talking to a local, and this guy tells our guy about, hey, there is going to be a suicide attack on this base at this gate. And it's going to happen sometime this week because he heard it from his cousin who has connections to the Taliban, or what, name whatever you want. Okay, so now this guy, what's he do? He reports that information to the COC. COC goes, ooh, that's not good. So they listen to traffic on cell phones, and they pick up that, hey, this individual, when she was still over here, she hadn't left her home yet to come attack this base. But she's on a cell phone, and she's talking, and she says, hey, you know what? I am ready for this mission. I'm suited up. I'm going to head out. I'll attack at 10 a.m. So the COC gets this cell signal, gets picked up, brought over to the COC. COC goes, oh my God, where's that cell signal coming from? These guys say, well, that cell signal was coming from this compound, and they have a trace on this phone. They're tracking this phone, and this phone keeps pinging, telling them. They trace it, and they have visual line of sight on this compound. They watch this individual go from this compound, ... They watch her walk up here. Now, she's coming up. They relay it to their own little command center that's right here. For this, there we go. For this little post here, they've got their own little command center, right? They have their own they listen to them, but they have their own rank structure here. So the head guy over here talks to the head guy over here. Head guy, they tell them, hey, we have eyes on this individual. We're confirmed this is a suicide IED. She's wearing a suicide vest. This is a suicide bomber. She's going to come up to the gate and she's going to detonate, and it's going to blow up this whole gate. It's going to blow up your guys. You need to engage this target before they make it up here. So the sergeant of the guard, or whatever you have, whatever you want to call it, okay, they tell the most junior guy that's sitting here, manning a big gun, going, hey, you need to engage this threat. And this guy goes, nope, I don't see a problem. They didn't tell them why, because the whole time they've been talking to them, this person has been making their way up to the gate. So they go, okay, well, we're running out of time. I'm not going to sit here and explain the entire fucking situation to you. You don't need to know the whole situation. This is a target. We've been told that we need to engage this threat. This is a threat. So this junior here goes, nope, I'm defying orders because I was taught by senators and congressmen that, hey, it's okay to defy an order if I think that it is unlawful. So he doesn't, and then what happens? This person continues up, and then they blow up this entire gate. What happens then? There is an ambush where a bunch of fighters are waiting to come attack this base, because now they've blown through their access control point. It is not controlling anything now because it is blown up. It does not exist. That junior thought that he was right in denying what he thought was an unlawful order. But he didn't have access to all of this information that let him know, if he did have access to it, that it was, in fact, a good, clean, authorized target to engage. Would have been fully justified. He would have been alive. The base would have been safe. So this is the kind of thing that can happen, a real world scenario. Not everyone has access to the same information. You do not know what the people in charge and in control know, because they are not going to sit here and explain 100% of everything to you. There's a multitude of reasons why, time being a huge factor there. What are we going to do? Sit down and brief an entire unit on 100% of everything that we know? No, that doesn't make sense because the juniors are not going to listen if it doesn't directly pertain to them and their job. And you have to explain to them how this pertains directly to them and their job. So it just doesn't make sense. You don't always need to know why you're doing what you're doing. You just need to know that, hey, I was told that this is the right thing to do in this situation. Therefore, I am going to do it because my job isn't to question my leadership and test them on legality of every single order. If we did that, nothing would ever get done because it would be a constant pissing contest of who's right and who's wrong. And the military would exist of nothing but fucking lawyers at that point. There would be no one left to actually do the work that needs to get done because everyone would have to have a law degree and be fully versed in every single rule of engagement, how that applies, when that applies, and it's so far beyond the scope of the average service member. Why would a cook need to know that? They wouldn't. What if the cook is being told to go do something? Because guess what? Shit hit the fan and we're being ambushed right now, and we need everyone to rally, right? Think of, say, Pearl Harbor, right? What would have happened in Pearl Harbor if every service member, instead of being told, hey, go get your shit and get ready, what if they would have all been like, well, is this the right thing to do right now? Should I be doing this? Maybe this isn't the best course of action. Maybe we should be doing something else. And another course of action would be more effective and more efficient. See, once you start challenging orders, you're not just challenging them because, oh, they're unlawful. You're challenging them for every reason. It it allows the seed of doubt to grow. So now they will start questioning every order. And that leads to a very ineffective, inefficient fighting force. That is why it is dangerous. That is why I'm not saying that you need to blindly listen to every single thing. Like, hey, we've got a bunch of POWs and you need to go freaking shoot them in the back of the head execution style. Obviously, that's not good. But that's also not an urgent situation. It's nothing at all like what I'm describing. So, it it's such a clear, concise, easy to define, yeah, that's not okay. But when you get into anything beyond that, it becomes extremely tricky and convoluted. So, the main thing that was brought up about that, about what I'm saying, is were the boats, were those strikes on the boats legal, right? Everyone's heard about the narco boats. Were those legal? Were those authorized targets to engage? What happens when your pilots, who are supposed to be tracking and engaging a hostile threat, start questioning their mission? They're going to have delayed reaction times. That is such a it's such a problematic question because all of the people that keep saying that it's unlawful cannot explain how and why it is unlawful. If they were able to provide an actual reason as to why it is unlawful and how clear and concise and easy it is to understand that it is an unlawful order to engage those targets. It's a different scenario. It's a different situation altogether. But they can't do that. They cannot explain why those are not legitimate targets. And that's a big problem. How is it that you don't know, even though you are a representative, right? You don't know how what you are saying is illegal. How the hell is a service member who isn't a politician, who isn't a lawyer, they're only trained to do their specific job? How are they supposed to know whether that's legal or illegal when you yourself, as a politician, cannot explain how it is illegal? That is the problem. That is a very big problem. That is my point. That is why it is so incredibly dangerous, this rhetoric, telling people, hey, it's okay for you to follow which order you want to follow and to just completely disregard the orders that you don't want to follow. It doesn't work that way. So, I hope maybe that helps explain a little something to the people that aren't fully familiar with how the big picture all this works. Maybe you didn't consider that, yeah, hey, that does make sense. That the lowest ranking member probably does not have access to all of the information. So something may seem illegal to them, but it is not illegal. And they need to act. They need to act now. It is life or death. And that is why this is so fucking dangerous to tell people to follow what orders they want to pick and choose, because you very, very likely are going to be the result, the cause of someone's death. And that shows that you do not give a fuck about our service members. If you're willing to put their life on the line, needlessly endanger them for the sake of you gaining some kind of political edge. Okay. That's all I got for you now. Later.